So what's up guys, I hope you guys are doing okay. So I'm the Distracton guy, which is a new word that I think I'm going to use now to call myself the Distracton guy, because it's a word which I've been hearing some people talking about or using it on TikTok, some of those who have used my tutorials to learn about design and all that. So lately also I usually get a lot of questions from such people who use my videos to do design, asking about the process when it comes to like approval processes. And I said that I'm going to talk about a number of counties, but first of all let me begin with talking about Nakuru County. In case you're taking your plan for approval, like what do you need to have, what is the processes, and maybe roughly you can talk about how much it will cost you. But for that one I won't be specific, like it depends with some factors. So to begin with, I'll say that usually it varies a lot, and from county to county, when they came up with this system where we now have county governments, some of the rules they are made within the county. So each county has its own rule. So this video might be able to help you if you are a client or someone who is a developer wants to take your billing for approval, and also it can help you if you are the designer. Like I'll try to include some parts in the video which will help you, so that when you take your project to your plan, it doesn't come back to you again for you to do some revisions. So if you're the one who's supposed to take the plan for the approval, like what do you need? So let me try to get away from the noise a little bit. I think this side is better. So the other side it was a little bit noisy, so there's some works going on the other side, not here. Here I'm just trying to check something. So even here the light is better. Yeah, so I was saying that if you're someone who's taking your plan for approval, what do you really need? So first of all, you need the plan. You need to have the plan, it is ready. You need the structural and also the architectural. That is, if it is a story building, you need structural and architectural. All this will be provided by the person who's doing the design. So, and now how things are right now in most counties, like now if you're talking about Nakuru County, just submit your drawing. Once you submit your drawing or you upload them, so the person who did the design, either they have an account with the system for the county where they can just upload your drawing. Once they do uploading of the drawing, then automatically on its own it will generate the amount of money that you're supposed to pay. Then once it generates, like you need to have money in your phone, yeah, either in your phone or the payment method that you choose, but the easiest one I found it to be the phone. So they enter the client's phone number, then they just do like prompt. They just prompt the amount and you pay directly to the county government, and it's usually not a lot of money. Yeah, then you pay it. It is a lot, also sometimes not a lot. It depends with the project, the location, and a lot of stuff. So you just pay it automatically like once and you're done with it. You don't have to pay a lot of money. Someone then they steal it or they keep some and then they pay little. No, just ask for the invoice, because they'll first of all send the invoice to you the way it is in PDF. Then once you see the invoice, now is when you decide if you want to pay or not. Then when you're ready to pay, they will just prompt you from the county government office. That one you have to know, you pay directly to the government. You don't have to pay anyone to do it for you. So but first of all, before you go ahead and do uploading, or before you upload your drawing to the system, there's some other stuff that now you need to provide during the approval process. So before the uploading process, so one of the things that I've realized that a lot of people don't have and they have to pay money for, which is sometimes some of the things which make the approval processes to be a little bit expensive, is you have to pay land rates. So most people don't pay land rates, but now when you're going to take your drawing for approval, this is in all counties, most of the counties, that is, you have to pay land rates. So because for the system they have to upload like your plan to the system, usually you need to provide your recent receipt that you had paid the land rates. So that's where they will get you. So you have to pay land rates first. Once you pay land rates, you have the receipt. You need to provide your KRA, like PIN, then your copy of it, then you provide a copy of your ID, then you do a land search, which is about 500 shillings. Once you do land search, and again you provide copy of title. So all this is to confirm that the land belongs to you, and if the land belongs to you, have you cleared the rates, they make sure that you do. And also these rates, you remember the rates you pay depending with where your plot is. So if your plot is very close to like town area, sometimes you'll find that land rates tend to be high. Like say your plot is close to the city, Nakuru city, that is, you find that the amount that you have to pay will be a little bit higher compared to someone who is from maybe like a satellite town, or they are from somewhere very far. So remember that. And now the land rates, the same land rates are the ones which will be used again to help in governing how much you pay. So once you have all that, you've provided all that, and you have uploaded to the system, when it comes to generating the amount that you have to pay, they usually use ratios. And the ratios, the way they work is you'll have to calculate the floor area. So they will first of all calculate the floor area of the entire building. Once they do the floor area, like you use the floor area, there's these ratios we used to talk about. I think I did a video covering about them, where you have the build up area, there's something called the build up area, then there's floor area, and what else? What am I forgetting? But yeah, there's build up area and floor area. So there is a way that they do to calculate the ratios. Then those ratios, they use your rate, depending on your rate, like the rent rates that you pay, because each land has its own rates that you pay depending on your location. So depending on the rates, then they will come up with the system, that is, it will come up with a certain amount that you have to pay as a client when it comes to approve of the entire project. So, and most of the times they will do that. Then later on, when the plan, now you have already paid and the plan gets to someone who is supposed to approve it, like let's say the planner, then the planner sees some errors and they make you to correct. And when they make you to correct those corrections, you'll find that you will reduce the area of the building maybe by a small margin. And when you do that, remember, you already paid for it. So this is something that you have to avoid. You can try to avoid first, especially for the designer, that is. So for the designer, you have to make sure that I'm forgetting the right word to use for it. Why am I forgetting now? I'm forgetting now when I'm talking to the camera. But yeah, you have to make sure that you're leaving enough space from the fence to the building. There's this word that we use, setback. You have to make sure that you leave the right setback. So each county usually has its own setback, but for most of them it's 1.5, and there's some which come with some restrictions. So 1.5 is where you have neighbors, and sometimes if you have large windows, like where you have sitting areas and all that, you find that they might go to about 2 meters, but in most cases it is 1.5 meters in most counties. But now the setback for the front part, sometimes it can go about 2.5 or 3 meters, but again it depends. So some of these things, like, you can do them earlier. Remember, like, to be sure, to be 100% sure, on the back side, try to leave a setback of 1.5, then more than 1.5, that is. If you can leave maybe 1.8 or 2 meters is better. But on the left and right side, like where you have neighbors on the left and right, you can do 1.5. So once you do the design for that, and now you have to pay for the area of the building, remember, to be better compared to if you're doing your building to cover the entire plot, covering the entire plot, the other side. Then when it goes for the approval, remember, you'll have to pay for the entire area, like the build up area where your building is covering. You'll have to pay for it. So you're paying for the entire thing. Then once it gets to the planner tells you that you have to change some parts, and already you paid the amount for that. Remember, if you had changed this earlier, you will not have paid more than after the revision. So that is one thing that you have to consider. And in most cases, I'll say in most cases, depends on the location, but it's not really a lot of money. It will depend with the building that you're building. Like, there's the building, there's the area, there's the location. But in most cases, for Nakuru County, for a story building, maybe 40s, 30s, 40s, 50s, if it's going way over 50s. But now when it comes to Nakuru, there's something else which those guys don't tell you at all until your building has started the approval process and you have already paid the first amount, is when they come and tell you something else called change of user. So most land in Nakuru is agricultural. I think you know that. Like back in the days when the white man was around, so the white man was using Nakuru and most places for farming. Like a lot of lands in Nakuru County is meant for farming. Even a lot of land in Kenya, that is, most of it is agricultural. So they won't tell you that. Now once you pay the money is when now you'll hear them starting say that you need to do change of user, and sometimes it can take you a while and it can take some money, but roughly maybe, yeah man, let me not talk about that, but it depends with the land. But it take you a lot of money because there's a report that they have to write, there's an advertisement that has to be done in a gazette, and then someone has to come to site, maybe take some photos and also do a report. Then after that is when now the meeting will be done, where I think they sit after every 2 weeks. The planning county of Nakuru, that is, they sit after every 2 weeks, where they determine if they have to change your land from agricultural to, say, to agricultural to now commercial, or what you want to use it for. I think for me, I usually wish that the county could just see, because a lot of land in Nakuru is agricultural, and I wish that they could just sit down and is it called demarcating or what, like do zoning of some areas and just say that these zones are for like this and this and this, so that maybe if you want to develop and you're buying land on such places, because someone can buy land in some of these places in town in Nakuru, or some of these satellite towns which people are building houses, and you will be told that the land is agricultural and you have to change it, and you're like, what, people are building here? So I wish that they could just take some of those areas and do like zone them differently, because some of this zoning that we are using right now in Kenya, most of it was done back in the, I think 60s or 70s, I'm not sure. It was done way back and it has never been changed. So you'll have to pay a lot of money to do that change, and for some people they avoid it, some go ahead and do it. But yeah, that's the process in case you're doing Nakuru County. It will cost you some money, but like I said, it will depend on the size of your project, that is. So I don't want to name some figures if I'm not sure how big or how small your project is. But yeah, it's very easy and straightforward, especially to do just approve of the project. But now when it comes to doing change of use, that's where now it can take some time sometimes, because you have to advertise first in the gazette, at least 2 gazettes, I think, advertisement to run for 2 weeks and all that. So sometimes it can take some time, but all these other things, they are very easy and straightforward. So a good example is like for this building that we did in Nakuru. So there's one in Nakuru and also the other one we did in Naivasha, and they're all the same because it's for the same client. They wanted something nearly the same and the amount of money was different. So this one was the one for Naivasha, and I'll try to hide the details so that you won't see the name of the client. And you had to pay a total of 62,000 for the entire approval process, and also place the rent on the screen so that you can see how big it was. This was a massive house. So I know people sometimes will tell you that this stuff will cost, I don't know, 100,000 or 150,000. No, sometimes it doesn't cost that much. I even have another receipt for a house that we are doing somewhere in Nakuru town, close to town, like within the town. It is a five-story building with a rooftop being concrete. 5-story building with the rooftop being concrete, and it was massive, covering a plot of 50 by 100. No, covering a plot of 50 by 100. Yeah, 50 by 100, and it was 92,000 for the entire approval process. So sometimes these things are not really, I know people sometimes will play you and cost you, like want to request a lot of money from you, but what you do is just you request for this invoice. So the way the Nakuru County works is they will generate this invoice directly, and if the person who uploaded it did put your name and like your phone number, it will come with your details. Then what the guy who uploaded has to do is just communicate with you with the time that you're ready to pay. They just tell you, are you ready to pay now? Then when you say yes, you're ready, and they prompt you and you pay that amount and you're done. Then you wait for the approval process to kick in, like how it goes. So sometimes it can take a while, sometimes it doesn't. But like I said, one of the biggest setback is usually change of use, if your land requires change of use, but some of them don't require. So yeah, I hope that was helpful, and let me end it here. So I'll try to do next one for Kiambu County. Kiambu County has been having an issue, especially when billing started falling or collapsing. So nowadays they're very strict, and most of these for Kiambu County, I think it will be more helpful to the designer and not really the client. It's very helpful to the designer. But see you in the next one.